right, guys. Um, Listen, we are back and better than ever. You see me. I'm in my nice little silk. We're going to get this interview done because I have never experienced this many technical difficulties. So I am assuming that this is an interview that we need to have. We really need to get this out the way. I'm just going to tell you a little bit. This is a special interview with my man Inde, brother from another mother. Okay, we are here live. We're gonna tell his story. Something doesn't want us to tell his story because I have never had this many mishaps and technical difficulties happen. So we're gonna get this done. We re-up and we're gonna get started. I'm gonna have Inde introduce himself. Like I said, I got the special silk on tonight for you guys. So this is a silk in. This is gonna be a good interview. Also, we're feeling mighty, so I got the Hulk colors as you guys can see. And I'm gonna let Inde introduce himself. So go ahead and take it away, Inde.
Hey, what's good, everybody? My name is Aiyinde Lawrence. I am 25 years old. I am from Phoenix City, Alabama, and I'm a current student at Alabama. I'm a current physical therapy, first year physical therapy student at Alabama State University.
Cool. Alabama State. All right, and tell us a little bit about your undergrad experience going from undergrad or even before undergrad to to undergrad to go to PT school.
For sure. Yeah, so I graduated my undergrad from Oakwood University.
Yes, sir.
I Before going to Oakwood University, though, I actually transferred to Oakwood. I transferred from the University of South Alabama. I did 1 year there, and
I'm
then I
just realizing
transferred.
this, by the way, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually did not want to go to Oakwood,
Okay.
uh, but I think, like I said, man, definitely God definitely wanted me to be there.
Yeah.
So I transferred from Oakwood University. Undergrad year for me, well, before I'll backtrack a bit and share some of the share the reason of why I even went to college and why I ended up majoring in what I decided to major in, which was pre-physical therapy. But the journey before that had its own, you know, ups and turns. That had its own hills and valleys itself. So pretty much middle school, elementary school, I was like, I want to go into physical therapy because I found out that they work with athletes, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I get to be around athletes. I can still pretty much go to the NFL without actually being in the NFL, or because that was my dream, especially in middle school, was to be an NFL player. But then reality kind of set in a bit, uh, kind of realizing that because of faith reasons, I wouldn't be able to play on Friday nights. And then kind of like the coach I was playing for at the time pretty much took the love of the game away from me in a sense, or took the enjoy. I wouldn't say took the love of the game away, but more so took away the enjoyment I had of playing. But so moving forward, like I figured, like okay, I know the medical field is definitely something I want to be with. I can even think about times like in my past experience, a kid, my mom was diagnosed with Erb's palsy at a young age, and I remember going to the school doing like the book fairs and buying little massage toys and stuff like that to massage my mom's muscle spasms and things of that nature. And just remember seeing my mom, laying in bed sometimes for days just because of the muscle spasms were just so bad. So like being in that predicament as a young kid, you're like, man, I want to do everything I can to help my mom. And so I figured that, you know, I'm naturally a person that likes to serve people, and the medical profession is just one where really your life is dedicated to serving other people. So I knew like going into the medical field was something I wanted to do. Fast forward now back to high school, getting ready to graduate. At first I was like, man, I'm just gonna go to the military and then I'll go to college. Family was like, nah, kid, you gotta go to college. So ended up like wanted to still do the army route, wanted to go into nursing, and like you like when you're young, bro, you don't really see all of the stuff that has to go behind the scenes of stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a military officer in nursing, and then I'm gonna work with athletes, and
For
I'm gonna
sure.
set up this clinic where I can train them, like pretty much because we usually plan life in a linear path or in a linear way. So that was like my plan going into it. So I went in, I got into the ROTC program where they pay for my housing, or they pay for room and board, but there's still like another part to it where you can pretty much kind of get what they consider, I guess, commission where you actually get the scholarship. Well, long story short, I didn't get the scholarship, so I ended up leaving, went to Oakwood University, started in nursing. I didn't. I got into the nursing program, but then I was basically kicked out of the program. Well, put on probation for the program because I ended up failing African American history, which is definitely a disgrace because it's like my grandmother was a civil rights activist, and I knew growing up knew a lot about. I mean, I've learned and studied and still do study a lot about African American history, but I just think for that class, I didn't really take it serious and kind of just like goofing around, doing other stuff. And then so that set me back. And it was like, well, Mr. Lawrence, you have to stay an extra year. You'll still be in the program, but we'll have to put you with the class behind you. So I was like, nah, I'm good on that, man. I'm gonna go back to my original plan that I wanted to do back when I was in middle school, which is physical therapy.
Okay.
So I got into physical therapy, and I think like the thing about our school that we graduated from is like there are certain degrees you would say that typically will get, or at least how this is how I thought about it. I mean, at that time, just me being immature in a sense, but and there's some truth to it too. But they're like, if you're like a bio major or biochem major, like we do have a great program when it comes to putting people in school for the medical school track. So
Mm-hmm.
there's always a lot more material. There's a lot more resources, and it also just seemed like there was just more opportunity too, though. Like if I were to go to that medical school route, even though I chose to go to pre-physical therapy, so I would like waver back and forth whether I wanted to be a physical therapist or whether I wanted to be a medical doctor. I even told my advisor, I was like, he's like, yo, so are you planning to go to physical therapy school? I was like, man, forget all that. I'm changing my major in health and wellness. I'm going to med school. I said that, but then like doing more research and studying, watching Greg Todd. Shout out to Greg Todd.
Shout out.
Shout out to Bakar definitely for putting me on him. Really changed my perspective about the profession and was like, all right, now let me get back on that path again. So I changed my major again back to physical therapy, and I finished with a degree in pre-physical therapy.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, man. So now I'm, and that's worked out for me, and so I'm definitely appreciative for that.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about that a little bit. You graduating, you are in pre-physical therapy, right? So you're graduating, you have this pre-physical therapy degree, and then you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna go to physical therapy school, right? You have some challenges getting in the first time. Let's talk
Yeah.
about those steps that you took next, and also what were some of your thoughts? Okay, you have a pre-physical therapy degree. You're not exactly sure what you can do now, right? That you didn't get in the first time. So what are some of the thoughts that you had, and did you consider, maybe let me just quit. Let me just maybe do something else. This is taking a lot of time, money, energy. Let's just go the easier route. Um, I'll just find something. I'm college graduate. I'm already in maybe the 30 percentile of Americans, and I can maybe find something else to do. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So my thoughts at first, like especially sitting in like that limbo, not hearing back from schools, being rejected
Mm-hmm.
from like 3 or 4 of the schools, and not really having enough money to keep applying for other schools. My mind just went to, and I think this happens to a lot of people. And I even have to monitor this thought a lot. I think, we all. I mean, there is a level of security that you need that's mandatory in order to, get to certain levels. So for me, my mindset just went straight to like, all right, let me just find something that's gonna give me some security. Let me find something where that's gonna actually give me some money, and I can really get on my feet, start taking care of myself. So I was thinking like, well, I just go back to school, getting my associate's degree as a physical therapy assistant. Make about $50,000 a year. Start paying back these student loans. I know I got a consistent check coming in.
Right.
I'm like, all right, it's not going to be as challenging as PT school, and then you don't get in as much debt. So my mind went towards that route. So I'm looking for PTA schools, and I actually kind of got into one, but they were just like, you would have to start in January of the following year. And I'm
Right.
just like, man, last thing I want to do though is just sit around. You know what I'm saying? Because like, and that's the thing I don't like about, sometimes we have degrees in like
Right.
pre
Right.
med or pre PT. It's like you can't really do anything with that degree. So I
Right.
didn't even have that luxury to have a degree where I could just like, all right, yep, I got a degree. Now I can like kick back. Like, nah, it
Yeah.
was like you gotta find something that's gonna get you, some money. So that was what my mentality went towards.
Yeah.
Um,
And let's actually take a stop right there real quick. So what he just said, guys, is basically, and this is the crazy thing, right? Which a lot of people don't think about. He's a bachelor's degree, and he's thinking about going backtrack and getting an associate's. And mind you, guys, I was thinking about doing the exact same thing, right? When I left PT school the second time, going backwards, getting a PTA. You can do that at a local school in our area called Calhoun for 15 months. You are less debt, and you can get a job working $45,000 to $50,000 in Alabama, sometimes even higher in places like California and New York. Right? You're gonna get this job and be working with less loans and actually have a job. PTAs pretty much do almost everything a PT does. They cannot do discharges, they cannot do evals, and they can't sign off on certain things. But he's a college grad now thinking about going back and getting an associate's. And this is where some of the loopholes in the system occur because nobody really talks about this. You're going to go get a pre-physical therapy degree. That's a bachelor's. But there are people right across the street going to school for 15 months that are going to come out actually being able to have a skill that they can use, right? So just think about that, guys, when you're applying and when you're going through this process, because this is something that a lot of people are not really considering. All right, Inde, my bad. I'll let you continue.
and then I would actually kind of piggyback off that, because Um, I know a lot of people are going to school to get associate's degrees, because college is so expensive. So if somebody's interested, like, hey, physical therapy is something that I want to do, and you are doing a community college route, I would definitely highly recommend go ahead and get a PTA, get your associate's degree in PTA, and then go ahead and finish your prerequisites. Because not only will you save money as far as college, but you do 2 years of your university, but at the same time, even if you do decide to work, I mean, you're
Mm-hmm.
still not having to do like the average job that most college students have to do, where you like working at a restaurant or working retail,
Right, right.
maybe making $12, $15 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a PTA, you know what I'm saying, even if you're doing part-time, you can still make about 30 grand a year. I mean, 30 grand a year in college though. You know what I'm saying? So that's always another option too. But yeah, back to you saying like the loopholes about, I mean, that's a whole nother
Right,
conversation.
that
But
is.
honestly, yeah, I mean, for real though, like that's where my mindset went. And I thought about that too. I'm like, dang, bro, I got to go backwards
Right,
to go get an associate's
right,
that actually is a better return on investment almost than a 4 year degree.
right.
Um, you know what I'm saying? So
The
I was
things
like,
they don't
dude,
tell you when
but
you start college. That's why
exactly,
we're gonna talk
exactly,
about this stuff, guys. Yeah.
exactly. Certification. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's another thing. Like, there's just things you can just get certifications
Exactly.
in certain things. Like, you know, um, things that I got while I was in college that I could have got even when I was in high school. Like, I didn't know I could be a pharmacy tech
Mm-hmm.
and making like $15 an hour. I mean, if I'd known that in high school, I was like, oh, with hindsight, is always 2020.
Yeah.
But fast forward, after college, so also having people to talk to, I usually try to make a lot of decisions without seeking some form of counsel and guidance. So my aunt was like, "Hey, you should consider getting your master's in public health.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of you going backwards, you can still leverage that, and that's another key thing, like leveraging. I'm really big on that. I think we all have things that we can leverage. For some people, it may not be their education, it may be their experience. So even with my master's degree, that helped leverage. That was leverage for me to get into PT school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another like mindset that I'm practicing in the process of continuing to develop. Is always looking for like a leveraging opportunity. And so, her advice made a lot more sense. And so I applied for a school in Loma Linda, California called Loma Linda University.
Mm-hmm.
They had a program that was really pretty much the same amount of time it would take to become a PTA. The program was 18 months to be exact. It was a master in public health, specializing in health education and wellness coaching. So I did that, applied, got in. Literally, I had like a week to get to California, so I had to rush, pack all my stuff.
Yeah.
Literally flew out there with just like 2 suitcases.
That's
Didn't know
crazy.
nobody out there. Yeah, I didn't know anyone when I got there, and I just say, I was like, obviously God has me here for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a very pivotal point in my life because it actually gave me hope again. Like I was starting to think, okay, well, if applicants see that I have a master's degree, they definitely will consider me because my GRE scores were trash.
Right.
My grades were okay, but they weren't like spectacular. Where they would, if they were to look at my academic record and just my GRE alone, most schools wouldn't really consider me. So having that master's degree and me deciding to still take another step forward, and I think that's a major key just in life because I think we're always going to be faced with a maybe a easier opportunity or maybe a opportunity that looks more promising, but it requires you to maybe kind of go back. So me doing an associate, that would have been me going backwards.
Right.
I would have came out making a little bit more money, a lot more debt, but it was backtracking me from my original plan,
Right.
which was to be a physical therapist.
Right.
So getting my master's in public health, that really helped. And I think that, and of course, with prayer and believing in God for sure, but also, putting in that work and having the faith, like, because after that, I also was considering, like, I'd apply for some more schools, but I didn't apply for as many schools as I did the first round. One, just for financial reasons, but for two, like, I just believed that I was going to actually get in. And, Lord behold, I did end up getting in. But there's a caveat to all of that because while I was getting that NPH, I was like, maybe the medical school hit me again or doing like PA, being a physician assistant, because I was like, that's less time and you get paid more, work hours are very flexible and all of that. So I went over towards trying to go into that track, but I realized that I would still have to do more schooling because there was some prerequisites that I didn't have. So I remember calling Bakar, and I was like, man, I don't think this. I given up on the PT dream. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm about to finish this NPH, and no schools are hitting me back. It's been months. Like I put in my applications early and all of that. Nobody hit me up. I was like, forget it. I'm better go to med school, man. Spent $300 on a MCAT course. Started studying. Alabama State hit me up and was like, hey, yo, we offer you an interview. I was like, all right. So I told, my friends and my family, I was like, yeah, I got an interview. I'm not going to, if they accept me, I'm not going to take it. Like, I'm already going to this med school route. And then, like, Car's like, yo, you sure you want to do that, man? Like, bro, usually you get an interview, they usually, like, let you in. And
Yeah.
I was like, nah, man, I think this, I want to go this route, it's not as hard, but I'm like, hey, if I'm going into all this debt and, and I'm still going to be a doctor either way. And so, but I got, not only did I get not only did I do well on the interview, but they gave me the acceptance letter. And then at that point, I was like, yo, you here now. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Right.
sometimes, and that's the thing, man, it's like when you feel like nothing right is about going right. That's you. When you feel like nothing is going right, that doesn't mean that things aren't going right. Like there's always things in the invisible that are happening
Right.
that we aren't always aware of, and so really like that hit me. And I was like, yo, you here now. They once I got that acceptance letter, I was like, yo, all of the money you spent, all of the planning that you've done, it's like, yo, honor the hard work that you did. I mean, you sowed the seed and now it's time to reap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, why put yourself through all this extra stress studying for MCAT and doing this, and you got to answer right here. Your answer that what you prayed for, fasted for, and put on this blood and sweat into doing, and all the money that you use to invest into yourself to get to this point. It's like you need to go ahead and finish this. And going back to the plan, going back like, yo, remember what was your plan originally? And going back to my original plan. And so, I accepted the acceptance letter, and I got accepted into one other school, Andrews University. I got accepted there, and then St. Augustine was also. They wanted to do an interview with me as well, but I already got accepted, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here now."
Right.
So now it's just a matter of just finishing.
Yep. And guys, that's I heard someone refer to it. It was a podcast I was listening to. It's sometimes called taking that third door, right? So you have the first door that people want to go in through. That's the most convenient door, right? The second door, okay, it's a little off to the side, but it's it's still relatively convenient, right? It's like when you go
Yeah.
into the hospital. You got the door you can go straight through, or you got the little winding doors. The winding doors, okay, you have to wait a little longer. You have to make sure no one is coming out when you're coming in, so you don't get squished between the thing. But then you got that third door. That's all, man. It might be on the rooftop somewhere, but taking that third door, right? First door, close the second door. You can't get through it. Hey, you can't come here. What happens? You go to that third door, and that's what we're talking about here. And they really took that. And I looked at it, and I was just, even his journey it's similar in a sense to mine, in that it wasn't necessarily the conventional route, right? Just go PT school, 3 years, boom, we're gone, done. So let's talk about now. Let's shift gears a little bit about to you're going into PT school now, Alabama State University. I'm gonna jump forward a little bit. Tell us, well, before we go there, tell us a little bit about your internship in to Mexico, because you just came back from internship, and let the audience know a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. So I just came back from Puerto Vallarta. So, for my Spanish speakers, please forgive me if I slaughtered that. But I was in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and with a organization called Toucan Abroad. Toucan Abroad is a pretty much it is a abroad. It's an abroad shadowing experience. So basically, you go to. This was the first time they did it in Puerto Vallarta, but they usually do it in Costa Rica. So it's a opportunity, and you guys can look it up. It's called Toucan Abroad. It's an opportunity anyone who wants to go into physical therapy to get shadowing hours, up to 60 hours of physical therapy shadowing at various clinics with physical therapists in a different country. So a friend of mine, uh, well, a classmate of mine actually, who I went to school with, one day she was like, "Yo, I just got this internship um, to do some physical therapy shadowing in Costa Rica," and I was like, "What?" Like I had never heard of nobody going overseas to do anything for physical therapy, because usually if it's something, an internship overseas, it's typically either, if it's medical, it's pre-med or maybe nursing or business, but never really for physical therapy. And so when I heard the opportunity, I was like, man, that's dope. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get to do it the year 2019 because of COVID. But they were like, this year applications reopened, and so I applied, got accepted. And so being over there, man, has definitely been one of the things that's like solidified me wanting to go into physical therapy, because just my experience there, like shadowing with, seeing how different people, different therapists shadow in a different country, was definitely interesting. And it's also different from like your normal shadowing that you would do when you go to, like, you're shadowing here in the States. Like when you're there, you're actually hands-on working with the patient. Some of the therapists will even allow you to actually design a couple of exercise movement patterns for the patients. You get to work with some of the machinery there. So that's been an awesome experience. And on top of that, you meet some amazing people. You also get a chance to, do a lot of different excursions. You get to explore the country. I mean, it's an awesome experience, and I would highly recommend it for anybody that wants. That's, even if you're on edge about, I don't really know if I want to go into physical therapy, I would definitely look into going into Toucan Abroad. Like I said, Toucan Abroad, it's a abroad program. They do one in Mexico, and they do one in Costa Rica, where you can shadow physical therapists, and you get up to 60 hours. So you're there for 3 weeks. They usually have 3 sessions. So they have a May session, a June, and July, and it's usually during the summer times. So it's in the program ranges. You do have to pay for the internship, but I would definitely say make that investment in yourself. And if anybody is interested in going into pre-physical therapy, or if you're already in PT school and you have like a summer off before going into PT school, still apply and definitely do it. They do have, as a matter of fact, for those who are post grad, now they're actually about to do, and they actually have a program. They have a session coming up in uh later this year. I don't know if it's in November or September, but they do have a program for post grad. So people who already graduated want to get some more experience interning abroad with some physical therapists. So definitely look into that. Again, that's Toucan Abroad. I highly recommend it. I had a blast, had an awesome experience there, and I would definitely recommend other people doing it as well.
Cool, cool. And yeah, guys, Inde's information is going to be linked in the bottom. It's already linked in the description. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to him. All right, so let's transition a little bit now into, we're talking about, the journey and all this path, but let's just talk about some life stuff here for a second. We can, tie it into physical therapy, but what would you say throughout all this process, and going with school and having to move here within 1 week of getting accepted, having to boom move to California? I remember that happened. He was like, "Yeah, I'm moving to California." I'm like, "Wow, okay," And then just having to make all these quick changes. You talked about adjustments and all of this. What would you say one of your biggest L's, right? And when I say L's, you can either talk about a loss or a lesson, right? We take both. What would you say one of your biggest L's was during this process from, I would say, entering into college to now?
Man, I think for me the biggest lesson in all of this is this journey in life, and this is gonna all of this I'm gonna connect the dots into actually, really what my mission is gonna connect the dots to my mission, but really processing and my thinking about my experience and everything that I've gone through. The biggest lesson that I learned is that every experience that you go through, everything that you do from even the smallest, the minor things that you do. Every discipline you develop, every habit that you develop, good or bad, every person that you meet, the interactions that you have, all of this is important in the development of who you become. And like realizing like me moving to me having to make a quick adjustment to move to California helped me to become a person that is now ready. The learning lesson I learned from that helped me become a person that now understands the importance of being able to roll with the punches, being able to adapt, understanding that that's really kind of how life happens, because we all, like I said, we always have our plans, we have our way of how we want things to happen, but you got to learn how to roll with the punches. And so ultimately, like, think about it. My biggest lesson is like, whether things have worked in my favor or not in the way that I wanted them to do, everything that you go through, the reason is because it's all designed to help you to become a particular person. And the person is whether you're going to become a person who who decides like, are you going to become not just a good person, but really, are you going to become the right person? Or are you going to become what other people want you to be, or what society try to tell you to become? And that's the biggest lesson that I've learned, that everything that I go through is all a part of my journey and my process to mold me and develop me to become, a person that's resilient, to become a person of humility, and a person to become all of these things. So each lesson, every journey, every trial, every upset, you know, all of it is designed to help me to become, a person that really ultimately it can be able to reflect the image of God ultimately. That's why. That's just what I believe. So that's just been the biggest lesson for me. And it helped me realize, and really it's helped me realize that in my everyday life though, and it's like who you become, it's something that's happening every day. Like, just if I wake up early in the morning, if I decided to, all right, I'm gonna get up early in the morning, and I execute on that, well, now I'm becoming a person that's a person of their word. You know what I'm saying? If I say something, it's gonna happen. Now I become more confident because I'm saying something and I'm doing the thing that I said I'm gonna do. Well, if I don't do that, well, now I become, not only do I become less confident, but truth be told, I mean, pretty much become a person that lies, because if I say I'm gonna do something and I don't do it, you just became a person that lied. I mean, there's no grade to that. I mean, you gotta try to get to that point where you kind of just stop making the excuses.
You become congruent with yourself.
And exactly, like, because your mind will only become the thing that you believe. And even science will show us, like, if you do things contrary to what you believe, your mind is going to shift over to the thing that you're doing. So, if you say that health is wealth, but you don't do anything really, or you do the bare, you don't do anything, or you do very little, or sometimes you do it and sometimes you don't. Ultimately, your mind is going to go on is going to go on the path that you continue to do. So if I say health is wealth, and then, what I'm saying, I don't work out, or, I don't really even eat healthy, or, I don't rest, then eventually my mind my belief system, even if I say something else with my mouth, my belief system is going to follow the path that takes me away from my goal, or takes me away from the very thing that I said. And so, I mean, that is like a lesson that I consistently have to remind myself about every day, that everything that I do is all a part of who I am.
Everything matters. Everything counts. Yeah.
Everything counts, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important, guys, because you start letting these little small things slip through the cracks a lot of the times. That's a good way, especially when you start going on a high level. Attention to detail, and when you're in physical therapy school, this stuff becomes important. It does. Planning out everything, going through your syllabus, making sure you have all the dates and the times that you have tests scheduled. This stuff gets crucial because if you don't have it written out and you don't have that plan, it's very hard to. I have a saying for myself now: if it's not written, it's not real, right? So if I start my day and I have a planner that I use, and if I don't have the 5 things I need to get done down, it's not real. I'm not serious for that day, and I might be productive. That's the thing, but if I scale it out across a week, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 of those days are going to be productive. But when I have something that my mind is able to hone in on because it's written down, it gets a lot better, right? So I like this. Let's segue into this next question. What is the strategy, man? You're starting August 19th, 16th, something like that?
Yeah, I started August
August
16th.
16th.
Yep.
So what is the plan? You're moving up there, what is the strategy, and can be speculative. Of course, you'll have to do adjustments, I'm sure, but what is the strategy once you get to that PT school and you hit the ground running? What's your strategy?
Yeah. So the strategy, it for me, I'm because I've never done physical therapy
Mm-hmm.
school until now. It's about for right now. The strategy is to develop solid principles
Mm-hmm.
because the methods are going to vary. The way I may my the method I may or strategy I may create for studying may switch by week 2 of actually going into PT school,
Mm-hmm.
but the principle is still going to be the same. So for me, the strategic principles that will be developed is being disciplined. So now, what does that look like? Okay, well, I've already received my syllabus, but more so developing a morning routine, following my morning routine. You know, waking up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. Uh, having my prayer, having a devotion time. Make sure I'm taking care of not only my mental health, make sure I'm taking care of my spiritual health. Workout. All right, we got that done. Go over what are the things I need to get done for this particular classes. So for me, developing solid principles, and that for me is just being disciplined and also being consistent with that. So monitoring my time, like, okay, how are you spending your time? Are you spending more time on your phone, or am I spending more time, you know, procrastinating or doing other things? So that my strategy is making sure that I'm timing the things that I'm the things timing the activities that's not associated with physical therapy school,
Mm-hmm.
because PT school can only take up so much time in your life that there's a lot of micro things that can really consume a lot of time when added up over time.
Mm-hmm.
So my principle is making sure that I'm disciplined as far as like in my morning routine and in my night routine, and making sure like for the small incremental gaps that I have when I'm not studying or when I'm not in class, making sure that I'm using those times wisely and actually putting in time into my schedule to make sure that I do put rest or moments of breaks in my schedule at times. So for me, the principle and the main strategy I have going into PT school is remembering what I just said, man. Everything that you do is ultimately like who you become. The things you say, the people you hang around, the days you either don't study or do study, or how you do what you do is just as important. My guy, shout out to my guy Tyler. I've heard this saying before he told me, but it really resonated with me because he and I was talking a while back. Tyler, the guy who owns Uncommon Athlete, a gym here in Columbus, Georgia, in my area. And one of the things he said, man, was how you do anything is how you do everything. And so that's really my mentality going into PT school is, how I do anything is just how I'll do everything. And so I think the preparation starts now. It doesn't just start when classes start. For me, the preparation starts now. The discipline start now. Waking up at a certain time, going to bed at a certain time. All of those things start now. And so the strategy for me begins really now at this point of developing a routine, making adjustments as needed, but sticking to that routine and making sure to maintain the principle of discipline and consistency.
For sure. Yeah, guys. Um, little things when you're in school, everything counts. I remember when I was at Hampton, I mean, it's crazy how much of a difference it made. Just ironing, because we had a dress code. Some PT schools have dress codes. Actually, a lot do. Now that a lot of people are doing the virtual stuff, you know, you gotta have. I mean, some people have polos on, but we had to wear like chino pants or like khaki pants, and having to get up. I was an early morning studier, so having to get up. There was a 24-hour library, trying to iron my clothes, get my food ready, and then try to head to the library. That extra hour or 45 minutes, of course, in the shower and everything, you stack that on. You got classes at 8 o'clock, right? So just taking 2 hours or an hour to iron everything on a Sunday, get that done. Maybe meal prep if you have the time. That little effort that you put in that one day, that could pay off for 5 hours, because now you've taken that 1 or 2 hours, and then every single morning you don't have to scramble and iron, clothes and stuff like that. So the little things definitely count. The little things count. So let's just have Inde a little talk. Just talk to the audience a little bit about what you're doing, and then you'll let you give your last thoughts in terms of your programming, and what you're working on. In relation, I mean, it's similar to PT, but some of the entrepreneurial ventures you have, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Yep, for sure. So this summer I actually just had I haven't launched it as far as digital yet, but this summer I went on and started a business called B1 Fitness. But B1 Fitness is really just the first. That's just the beginning of the things that I really have planned. So right now, I want plan is to have B1 Fitness be an online personal training, business that I just developed. We're gonna try to see how that's gonna work out though, with me just not
Yeah,
starting
you got to
with
focus a
college
little.
though.
Yeah.
But I still will be pushing that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of core exercises and a program that I will be developing. So I've been recording that since late June, early July. So I've been doing a lot of recording as far as like a lot of different ab workouts to help people get stronger cores and get people that six pack. So putting that together, got a YouTube podcast coming soon. More details will be on that a little bit later. You guys will probably hear Bakari shout that out. So while I'm in school, it's actually just sharing inspirational, motivational things. Basically, though, with B1 Fitness, my plan for that is to really create a brand and a company, but it's also to really generate a movement. So, B1 will ultimately be more than just fitness. There'll be B1 inspiration, B1 motivational, because I think that fitness is only one aspect of the human experience. For me, fitness is just a vehicle. But ultimately what my mission is really what I was just talking about. Like everything that you do is always about who you become. And so B1 Fitness is about being fit. But I want you to be inspired. I want you to be motivated internally, though. And those are things I can't necessarily give someone, but it can help lead someone in the right path. So through podcasts and different media, that's what B1, the movement, the brand, and the company is all really about. Is becoming, a person ultimately becoming who God has called you to be. Because even your calling from your career, all of that is all designed for you to become a person of character. And that's the main thing. It's like making sure that we all become people of solid character, people who have integrity, people who are kind, people who are loving, people who are patient, people who are resilient, and so all of that, that's what B1 Fitness is about. That's what the company is about. That's what um when the podcast and the media that we put out, it's all about helping people to become people of character. Because I realize that honestly, the way the world is moving, it's not something that's being pushed enough. Everybody's pushing their agenda, and they pushing, telling you, trying to push you to do things that don't align with your character. And that's my thing, is I'm all about more than just like personal development, but I'm really big on like character development, because your character will always precede you. Even when you leave this earth, like people will always remember, your character. And so we can develop that here on this earth while we're still here. And if I want to be one of the pioneers that really push that, is character development, in everything that we do. So that's what B1 Fitness is about. That's the name of my right now it's an online training program, but it's still in the works. So it hasn't been completely developed as far as the website and things of that nature. But as far as legally on paper, that is there. And so that's what I've been working on
Good.
like this summer, is, B1.
Mm-hmm. No, and good. And guys, by the way, he's a certified personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So, he knows what he's talking about. We've put in the work, we put in the studying. Of course, we're continuing to study and learn and grow. But, this is something that we put in work into, and, something that we also do in our personal lives. Fitness is an important part of my life. It's an important part of Aiyinde's life. And it's something that, we have a passion for. But not only fitness, like we talked about, you just talked about character development, and, with this channel, Mentality ID, it's mentality. Your mentality is your ID. And someone asked me what it meant. That I came up with the name because mentality, if you think about it, if your mentality is ID, it's your identification. Someone can identify you by your mentality. So I just say mentality ID. Your mentality is you, and my mentality is me. Because based on your mentality, that allows you to navigate the world in a certain way, and it allows you and caps you, or it can take you to certain heights but it's your
Mm-hmm.
decision. It's really your decision. So my whole goal of this mission is to push that mentality, and I've been inspired through a lot of channels. Like Impact Theory is one of them, by Tom Bilyeu. And there's just a lot of, I know I'm in my own niche, right? But either way, this is something that, whether you're in business or you're in school, or you're in something else, having that strong mentality is something that I am very interested in. So yeah, without further ado, I'll let Inde close it off. Give us shout out his Instagram, any social links. Like I said, everything's gonna be under the description, but we'll just let him, share any last thoughts he has, and then we'll get you guys out of here.
Most definitely. So if anyone wants to follow me on Instagram at B1 Fitness. That's B, E capital B, letter E, lowercase e, the number one Fitness. That's on Instagram. Also, it'll be B1 Fitness on Facebook as well. Also, I want to also give a big shout out to Bakari and Mentality ID. Thank you definitely for having me
For
on here,
sure,
man.
bro.
I definitely can't wait to see the growth of your channel, man, and everything that's positive about to happen. Because this is big, man. I like it's small beginnings, but it's definitely big. Um, Definitely shout out also to our a nonprofit organization that I've been fortunate to be a part of, called Knowledge Works Learning Academy. Right now, we're after school program teaching children in low income areas. We call it STREAM, which stands for science, technology, right living. We're also really big on the character development education, math, and art. So, Knowledge Works Learning Academy is a nonprofit organization that's designed to teach children from low income areas. We're located here in Phoenix City, Alabama. Our goal is actually to become a school. So if you guys please support that, that's Knowledge Works Learning Academy. You can follow it. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at KWLA Kids. It's the same thing on Facebook, KWLA Kids. And we definitely appreciate your support in any form in the way you can support that. Um, I want to leave a nugget with you guys, and just really, just it's a nugget to myself as well, but really, you know, as Bakar was saying, is like your mentality and your character. That's what you have here on this earth. All the materialistic things and the accolades and things of that nature, like those things are cool. But ultimately, like your character is what you really have. And so really focus on developing, becoming a character, a person of character. And whatever you believe, that's what you're going to become. Remember that you're a human being, and the being part is really the most important part of the human experience. Everything that you do is related to who you become. And who you become is directly related to the character and the person that you become and the lives that you eventually impact. So I just wanted to leave that with everyone. And I pray that, that you guys will also go out and inspire other people.
Yes, sir.
Maybe start your own YouTube channel. Go out and I don't know, do something to just the way that you live your life. We all have an influence in some form or fashion. So yeah, man, I just want to leave that with y'all.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it, guys. We are signing out. Thank you so much, Inde, for coming on. And he's going to be back, guys. So
Yes,
without
sir.
further ado, we are signing out. Thank you guys for your time tonight. All right.